Okay. Hi, I'm Sean, and I'm responding to Chris's claim of fact speech, and I'm refuting his claim that the Los Angeles Lakers' high ticket prices will end up hurting the team this season. He has three secondary claims. The first being that ticket sales may go down. Secondly, people will end up buying Clippers tickets, and thirdly, people will end up buying Dodgers tickets. So responding to his first secondary claim that ticket sales may go down, the advocate claims that ticket prices are mostly determined by the fans' willingness to buy tickets. This statement undermines his main claim because he's saying that there's a correlation between the fans' willingness to buy tickets and the prices of the tickets, which means that the prices are going up because fans are still willing to buy tickets. According to ESPN and the NBA attendance report, there's been an average attendance of 19,000 people every Lakers game since 2001, showing that people throughout the years, even until last week, still go to Lakers games. The advocate also claims that people will not pay to watch a team when they are expected to lose. This statement by itself has no evidence to support it, and most people who attend sporting events attend because they are a fan of a team or a certain player, etc. A fan is someone who is enthusiastically devoted to something. People attending sporting events to watch their favorite team, or attend sporting events to watch their favorite teams whether they win or lose. For example, last week the Lakers played the Clippers and the Lakers won. People still showed up to cheer for the Lakers, even if they may have been predicted to lose or because Kobe wasn't playing because of his injury. Even if ticket sales do go down, tickets aren't the only source of income for the Lakers. According to the NBA, their teams generate revenue from merchandise, stadium agreements, sponsors, endorsements, and television, etc. The advocate also claims that ticket sales going down will hurt many businesses around the Staples Center area. The Staples Center is a unique sporting arena because it houses three different sports under its roof: the LA Kings, which are a hockey team, the LA Clippers, and the LA Lakers. Even if the turnout for a Lakers game was poor, the small businesses like bars and shops can also rely on the turnouts for the other two teams. They aren't entirely dependent on one team. Chris also says that according to certain economic analysts, the Lakers lost potentially $70 million that could have been injected into the local economy if the Lakers had made it into the finals. According to CBS Los Angeles, however, the sports industry last year pulled in $4.1 billion for the LA economy last year, so that's including basketball, baseball, hockey, and soccer. $70 million is nothing compared to $4.1 billion. I'm going to move on to responding to his second subclaim that people will end up buying Clipper tickets. He claims that Clipper tickets are $35 cheaper than Lakers tickets. Although some people will end up supporting the Clippers because of high ticket prices from the Lakers, most fans support certain teams and stick with them. From the statistics I presented earlier, the Lakers have had consistent attendance to their games for the past 12 years, and people still pay to watch Lakers games despite the increase in prices. He also claims that the Clippers have a more exciting team this season. This is a claim of value, and there's no evidence to prove that this is true. What constitutes as exciting relies on each individual's perspective when they watch a game. And responding to his third subclaim that people end up buying Dodger tickets, just because people don't buy Lakers tickets doesn't mean they will buy Dodger tickets. And it isn't proven with any evidence and does not directly support his main claim. In conclusion, ticket prices increasing does not have a negative effect on the Lakers, and people are still willing to go to Lakers games and pay to support them. Thank you.
All right, structurally everything is pretty good. Obviously, there's a disproportionate amount of the argument on that first point. The second and the third points get just a little bit of development. The first one is the one that contains most of your argument and the premises that you're challenging. I thought that you did a pretty good job signposting that. You had good information about the regular attendance at the Laker games over a period of time. Regardless of success, you might point out, for instance, that in that 12-year span, whether or not the Lakers had seasons where they were not successful, didn't even make the playoffs, for instance, or left in the first round, and what the attendance figures were at that particular point, that would be a good thing to talk about. Also, you mentioned the current season. You made reference to a game that was played last week between the Lakers and the Clippers. I don't know if it was a home game for the Lakers or if it was a home game for the Clippers. If it's a home game for the Lakers, what were the attendance figures like? That would be an instantaneous comparison that would, I think, make a little bit of sense for you. Also, because Kobe's been injured and there's the unlikelihood that he's going to be playing extensively, have ticket sales been adjusted as a consequence? Again, you have a good general piece of data about the 19,000 that have been consistently attending. I think that's pretty solid. I just think you're missing an opportunity to kick in some teeth by providing some additional evidence on those other points, which I think would make your argument even stronger there. I also thought that you had an interesting point that there are other sources of revenue for the team. That's important. It's a general statement that you're making about those other sources of revenue. We don't know how much any of them bring in, and I think that would have been something that, again, would have added to that argument. I also like the argument about the local economy and how this is a unique situation because you have 3 professional teams playing at that particular venue, so the likelihood that any of the merchants is going to be hurt, I think, is undermined a little bit. I think you made that argument at one point. If the Clippers climb up and do better, then the restaurants in the area are not going to be affected because there are people attending the Clippers game. So even if the advocate is true that you're going to get declining attendance in the Lakers because people will be buying Clippers tickets, how is that going to have a negative consequence to any teams to any of the stores or retailers in the area who are still going to be having people showing up in their restaurants before games, regardless whether they're going to see game X or game Y. I also like the point that you made, and I think it would be effective to say that fans turn out regardless of their expectation of the team. I think that's generally true of people who are real fans. Now, there are the fair weather fans that just want to ride along when it's a good thing. But you might be able to show, for instance, that the Laker base is fanatical, that there are a lot of people who go, look, there are plenty of times when I go to the game, and I don't think the Trojans have much chance, but I'm a fan. I'm going to be there rooting for them, and so on and so forth. Stanford for homecoming, Jiminy Crickets. That's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one. But I'm not going to stay home just because they might lose. That would be just too depressing. And what kind of fan are you then? I thought the $70 million out of the $4.1 million is an interesting way to kind of diminish that argument. But, of course, that's also premised on the notion that there's going to be this vast change, which I think you did a good job on. The other 2 arguments, like I said, I think the Clipper ticket argument, you made the same issue on the earlier point. That was okay. The Dodger ticket argument, I think there are some other issues that you can make here. You're basically suggesting that the advocate has mostly asserted those particular kinds of claims. There might be some good evidence to show, for instance, that you have a different fan base that's going on there, or that even if there is an overlap, that's not likely to affect the folks. One other thought that just popped into my head, and that is that there's really almost no overlap in the seasons between the two. You get maybe a month of overlap. Did you get it? Was it a black fly? Yeah, those things happen. They're annoying. The Dodgers season largely is going to end in October, even if they make the playoffs, which is when basketball season, begins, and basketball season ends it doesn't seem like it ever ends, but ultimately, if you've got the playoffs going and they went the whole time, it ends in June, which is 2 months into baseball season, so there's a very little overlap. I mean, there's some obvious issues that you could talk about there, but I thought you did a good job on that first point especially. All right.